Welcome into Tuesday, February 6th edition of College Basketball BMOC.
Bad buffet.
That's Wanma, the producer in the background. We're coming to you live from Costa Rica, and we have Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus from somewhere near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to your Eagles, big man. Welcome in.
Thank you, Drew. That's nice of you to say. I've been saying congratulations. People saying congratulations a lot this week. Yeah, it's a party this week in Philadelphia. Thank you for that. Yeah, we've waited a long time for this, and we're going to party.
Yeah, no, we're going to be hitting on all things college basketball betting. But, big man, tell us about that night when, I guess right after the Super Bowl, I saw some things on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau where looked pretty fun out there, man. What did you see?
Well, where I was, I mean, I used to live right next to Broad Street, so I was at a buddy's house that has a house like 2 blocks away. Once they won, everybody ran to Broad Street and just went crazy, throwing stuff and jumping on stuff and people climbing light poles, and you're just seeing a lot of friends that I haven't seen in many years, and just really enjoying the victory. And there's a lot of beer. I got beer all in my hair. I didn't drink any, but I had beer all in my hair and all over. Yeah, it was a wild night, man.
Man, good stuff, man. It looked like a lot of fun, bro. But, hey, let's get right into it. College basketball-wise, this is the BMOC Bet Buffet. We got, guys in the chat box, Salty Dog, Black, Belichick, Tehran here. What's up, guys? Welcome in. Thanks to all you guys watching. If you're liking the content, please give us a thumbs up sign. But let's start off with what caught your eye over the weekend, that huge Saturday card or anything since then, maybe last night's card, big man. That caught your eye that you can use going forward to kind of get an edge here on the odds makers?
Yeah, I think, I'm still wondering about the SEC, but one team I do think we can kind of pencil in. I mean, we have to start looking down the road at, possible of 1 seed at one point. If they can go and continue to win games, they'll make a deep run and even win the SEC title. I think you got to maybe consider Auburn for a number 1 seed. I mean, this team is rolling. They really had nothing even really close. I mean, they've had some tough games. You lose to Alabama, but overall they've had a great season. What a season for Bruce Pearl. Even without 2 of his more dependent on players, guys that he counted on, he's not even had them. They've had a miraculous season, man. And if they can continue to keep it up, I don't see any reason they're not very highly rated in the tournament. I mean, you do have some tough games. You got to go to Georgia, which is always kind of tough, but you get Alabama, you get Kentucky, both at home. You got to go to Florida. You got to go to Arkansas. It's still a long season to go here. Still a lot of things can happen, but this Auburn team right now is rolling. And I mean, you even look at out of conference. I mean, they beat some pretty good mid majors. You beat some Big East teams. You already beat Tennessee, who's a great team. Already had some wins in conference you have to feel good about. They're rolling, man. That's something that caught my eye. They look like the real class of the SEC. And I think tonight, if Tennessee could find a way to win, I think they're the second in command right now in that conference.
And BMOC, you bring up two guys. I think they might come back. I mean, they've been doing all this without the 2 guys, but at least Purifoy is applying for like reinstatement. Do you think he can help the team? And do you think he'll be able to play this year or no?
Well, from what I heard, they upholded Austin Wiley, so he won't be back. I'd imagine he'll test the waters in the NBA. It's unfortunate. I mean, I've discussed. I think it's a shame of some of these kids. I mean, some aren't directly even involved in some of these issues, and they have to deal with it. You look at a guy like Billy Preston at Kansas. He was a top 10 recruit out of Oak Hill Academy. I never played a game for Kansas, and they could sure use him right now. They're really thin in the front court. You look at him; he's over in Bosnia now playing basketball. We got on LeVar Ball for his decision to send his children to Lithuania. But I got to tell you, Drew, if I'm a young man at this level playing basketball, I would go to Europe. I think it's the best way to get ready for the NBA. But if we're talking about college, Purifoy, we'll have to see. I haven't looked totally into that. I know he did apply for reinstatement. Austin Wiley, though, won't be back, and I don't think you'll see him at Auburn either.
How good of a coach is Bruce Pearl in your opinion? I mean, what, they haven't made the tournament since either 2002 or 2003 when they lost to Carmelo Anthony and Syracuse in the Sweet 16. So it's been a long time for this Auburn program. They do have that new stadium which helps them with recruiting, but how much of this is just Bruce Pearl, one is recruiting, and two, his actual basketball in-game on the court coaching?
Well, I mean, he's been to three Sweet 16s, an Elite Eight. He's a really good coach. I mean, he's a coach that I think, unfortunately, in his career, he's been kind of the scapegoat in a lot of situations. I think the whole situation when he was kind of doing some things with some recruits, I think it was a little overblown. He did get caught in a lie at one point. But I think overall he's done a nice job. I thought it was crazy that he was on the men for so long, not getting a job. He was on ESPN for a while. His recruiting activities were concerning. I think when we heard about this whole FBI thing, it was involved with Auburn. I think we immediately kind of thought, "Uh-oh, Bruce Pearl's involved." But I think overall, Bruce Pearl, you look at what he's done at Auburn. He started there in 14. He went 4-14 in conference. Next year he wins 5 games. Next year he wins 7, and he's already won 9 this year. So they've continued that uptick, getting better, getting better, getting better. I think on the court he's a good coach. I think he's a guy that they love to play for, and I think as an X and O guy, um, I'd take him over a lot of coaches in the country. There are a lot of guys X and O wise that during the guts of the game, I mean, they're total morons. One of them is Roy Williams. He gets all the love to be this great coach, but he's a good recruiter. That's about it. I think Coach Krzyzewski's a fairly overrated coach, frankly, on the court. A lot of these guys couldn't hold the kin to some of these mid-major guys that do it because they know how to coach, not because they get the best talent. Guys like Mark Few, guys like Randy Bennett, guys like that. I think Bruce Pearl's definitely a guy that's going to go start getting some love. He's done a great job down at Auburn.
BMOC, that's a team that kind of caught your eye. You're looking to possibly bet on going forward. What about some teams in the college basketball universe that you're looking to fade going forward, making some money betting against them?
Yeah, I will get to them in a moment. I did there are 3 teams, Drew, that I think you got to keep your eye on that it might be real under the radar. One of which is not. One of which I've been talking about for a long time. Cincinnati. They've won 14 games in a row. They've only given up more than 60 points one time during that win streak. They're an elite rebounding team. They're absolutely unbelievable on the defensive end. You talk about Virginia. Cincinnati's not too far behind. And they've done a great job this year, Drew, winning neutrally. They're not playing in their home court this year. They're down at Northern Kentucky. Their university's getting fixed up, their arena, and they've almost been on the road all year. It's been a really impressive thing that Mick Cronin's done. The only problem that they're going to have going forward is Mick Cronin. If he can keep his cool, if he can kind of continue to do what he's been doing, they won't be effective. He's a guy that can lose you basketball games by poor decisions. But he is a real good team this year, and they might be one of those teams that make a run. The difference between them and SMU last year, they're similar teams. SMU had no depth. This Cincinnati team is very deep. 2 other teams from an ATS perspective, Drew. No one's talking about, or at least most people aren't talking about them because they're not a blue blood program or anything. But I don't know if there's any team hotter in the country right now than UL Lafayette. UL Lafayette is absolutely crushing it on the ATS trend. 12-4, Drew, to the number this year. They've won, Drew, get this, every game in conference by double digits. They've not been tested whatsoever in the Sun Belt. They've won 17 of 18 overall. They're pulling down 39 rebounds a game, which is 38th in the country. They're 21st overall in the country offensively. They are really under the radar, and they have absolutely been murdering teams in the Sun Belt. Numbers I'd imagine will become a little bit more where it's going to be a little bit more tougher to get value with them, but they've given you no reason to think they won't blow anyone out. They have been absolutely fantastic. And one other one, South Dakota. I've been real high on them all year. 14-6 to the number. They're 9-1-1 on the road ATS, so you can go ahead and back them with confidence away from home. They've been on my card a couple different times this year. They have a guy named Matt Mooney who could take a game over late. They're very good from the line, and that's one of the reasons Saturday they were to get me a winner against North Dakota State. They make their free throws. They allow you to really feel comfortable betting them. They do a lot of things really well.
So BMOC, that Cincinnati, ULL, and South Dakota are kind of your underrated ATS teams?
Yeah, I think Cincinnati, they're more of a team just that I'm really high on in general. Long term, I think they're a team that can go to the Final Four. UL Lafayette is a team that I think a lot of people have made money on all year, and I don't see any reason that they don't continue. And then, yeah, South Dakota's they're kind of been my Summit League team to go to this year. I generally like this conference a lot for many different reasons. They're kind of my IPFW. IPFW a couple years ago was very good against the number. South Dakota's kind of been that this year. They look like the class of that conference.
And then, okay, so those three teams, and what about, is there a team out there you're looking to fade, bet on the other team?
Yeah, I'm looking to fade Pepperdine. Pepperdine has been pretty much a good fade all year, but you look at this point. I mean, Drew, this team has lost 14 of 15. They're 2-10 against the spread at home. So yeah, out at Malibu, mostly what they've been doing is hanging on the beach and doing whatever they do there. They've not been covering games. They're 6-17 against the spread. It's the worst mark in the country. I think the only other team that's lower on the total poll is Vanderbilt at 5-15, but they have the most ATS losses in the country, due Pepperdine. And you look at coming up here, it's only going to get worse. They have games against BYU, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, San Diego, all the big teams in this conference they have coming up. And you look at they got to go to Moraga to face St. Mary's, got to go to Spokane to face Gonzaga, got to still face a pretty good Portland team. You got LMU; they're in revenge. Pepperdine beat them a couple weeks ago, so it's going to be a tough finish to the season. I don't know that we'll see another win from Pepperdine this year. I'd be looking to bet against them. They have been dreadful.
Big man, when you were talking about the Bearcats, Cincinnati, I got a question for you about tonight's card. They're playing UCF, and pretty much, I believe since Taco Fall went out, UCF has been a big over-trender. Well, they definitely have been a big over-trender. I think all of their games since he's gone out for the season have gone over the total. Now they're playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati is one of the best defenses in the country. And last time they played, the score was 49-38. So two very opposite things happening in tonight's UCF versus Cincinnati game. Would you look to bet this from a totals perspective, over or under the total?
Well, to discuss what you were saying, UCF has been a big time overtrender lately. I think 5 games ago, Taco Fall went out. I think his final game was actually the last time they played Cincinnati. Reason I know that is because I was on UCF that game. They couldn't hit water in a boat. I think they were up 6 at halftime, ended up losing by, I think 11 or 10. Listen, I mean, they're giving up 65 points a game over the last 5 games. That's a stark contrast to what they usually give up. They usually give up about 58, 59. So you're seeing about a 7-point difference with Taco Fall not on the court. And what I discussed about 2 weeks ago when this happened, I remember telling you, I thought they were an over team because of the fact of Taco Fall off the court. That's going to hurt you defensively. BJ Taylor inserted in. That's going to hurt you if you're an opposing defense. BJ Taylor adds in a good dimension offensively, and you look at that. I mean, they've improved a bit offensively as well. To answer your question on tonight's game, here's my issue. I still can't really get the ball. I don't. It's not that I don't have balls. I always have the balls to bet a game, but I still think this is a decently high enough total where you can go under. I mean, you mentioned it, 38 points in the last game. I'm not sure that's going to change much in this game. BJ Taylor played in that game that night. Cincinnati is an elite defensive team. They just are. It would surprise me if UCF scores 45, 50 points in this game. Cincinnati, they could be the team you worry about because I wouldn't see any reason to think that Cincinnati can't win big here. I can think they win by double digits. I could see them hitting 60, 65, 70. But yeah, I'm not running the window to bet an over here. I know UCF's kind of trended that way, but I think to hit this over, you're going to need Cincinnati to have to put up, I don't know, 70 plus points probably.
Yeah, and I mean, just going off of Ken Palm, the market is 10 points over what he has this total at. So I agree with you. It could be a little bit too high of a total, although I'm going to ride this UCF. What's that?
I would put it at like 117 probably. I think that's where this total probably should be, and that's where I think it'll end up being. I think Cincinnati's going to, because we still have to point out, I mean, even without Taco Fall, they're still good enough on defense. I mean, it's not like they're going to give up 80 points a game from here on out. And, at the end of the day, both these teams aren't particularly good from the foul line. I mean, and you look at it's UCF, I mean, 63% from the free throw line. On the road, that goes down to 58%. Cincinnati, they're under 70% as well. Neither team is awesome from three or anything, and both teams are incredibly slow tempo wise. So you might be pulling your hair out if you're worried about this game going over.
Okay. Well, hats off to you on that UCF over call because you've been exactly right, big man. Hey, what about West Virginia? Back to their winning ways. They had that long losing streak, and then I believe they've won 2 in a row. Would you look to buy on the Mountaineers?
Yeah, I actually I sent out I think a couple of days ago before the Super Bowl, I sent out a list of 10 teams that I believe will win, that can win the tournament, and one of them I believe will win. And I included West Virginia on that list. I still think this team is really good. The only concern you have is when the press is not working, it's a concern. I mean, it's not a good defense when it doesn't work. They found ways to be better in the half court offensively, which is really important. They're scoring 81 points a game, and you look at why they're healthy again. They're getting guys like Isa Ahmed to contribute. He's giving you 10 points a game. Sagaba Kanate, I mean, he's been great defensively. With all the blocks and stuff. I mean, Drew, he's averaging 3 blocks a game. That's amazing. He's giving you a great rim protector there. A guy like Teddy Allen's come off the bench, and he'll give you 11 to 14 minutes a game and 8 to 10 points. They're getting little contributions off the bench that they haven't always had. You always have your Baxter Miles and Javon Carters and Boldens, but I mean, other than that, they needed some more scores, and they've been able to get them. I think long term that the press will. There's good and bad things about it. You're going to face better teams that are more equipped to face it, but you're also going to face teams on short turnaround times that aren't going to maybe want to face it. Let's think of the tournament, Drew. You're in the Sweet 16, and you're going to get valuable time to kind of rest and stuff. But 4 or 5 days against the press when you've never seen it. You think if you're like a team that doesn't see a press very often, like I don't know, let's even say Cincinnati. When do they see a press? Not very often. Teams like that, it's an interesting thing to coach and to try to get to know. I think they're kind of one of those teams where you're always going to have to worry about them because now they can start to score in the half court. And yeah, I like West Virginia. They're a bet on team for me. I like them a lot more than I like an Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like West Virginia a lot too. I mean, betting them last night was good, and going forward, that's a good philosophy that you had when to bet on West Virginia against teams not used to the press. We got Sean Wolf here from North Dakota. He's saying he agrees with you on the South Dakota play there. BMOC looking to be on them. Also, Joshua saying Arnold Garza's watching, his first time watching. Shout out to you, Arnold. Anything you want to hit on? I guess we got to talk about Kentucky, 2-6 in the SEC. Are you looking to fade the Wildcats, big man?
No, not really. I mean, I know people are down in Kentucky, and I'm not going to say I'll fade them. I'll in certain spots look other ways. Like tonight, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's a real big game for both these teams. I mean, Kentucky's obviously not had a ton of consistency this year, but they're at home. It's a big kind of game for them. They need one of these wins. They got it a couple weeks ago against West Virginia. They're kind of down right now. Their shooting's not been good. They haven't been able to really hit anything on the perimeter. And I've talked about this with other colleagues and stuff. They don't have that go-to scorer. They don't have that that Malik Monk kind of player. They don't have that this year, and it hurts. I mean, Quade Green's not been able to be it. Diallo's not really been able to be it. Kevin Knox has been awesome, but he's not a guy like that can isolate late and score a basket for you. Tennessee's real. They're really good. They're out for blood. Rick Barnes has done a great job. They've gotten a lot of contributions this year, and they're coming in here playing real well. This is a huge game for both these teams. Do I want to fade Kentucky? Maybe in this game, but going forward, I think their ceiling is very high. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the country on paper. And if they get going like they did against West Virginia, they'll beat anyone. I don't care who they are. The problem is they're such a young team. It's so hard to every year after year, you get this consistency. And I said, Drew, back before the season started, when I was still back in the recruiting end, where I was looking at where these kids would go to school, I didn't see a lot of one and dones on this team. I think Kevin Knox is a one and done, maybe one or two others, but I don't think Quade Green's a one and doneer. Uh, I don't think Jared Vanderbilt's a one and doneer. There's a lot of guys that are good, but I don't think they're one and done kind of guys. And they've had struggles this year. Kentucky's really good, but they need to win this game, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of just going to stay away from it, just because both these teams are really in need of a big time win.
Okay, so no look on the Tennessee-Kentucky game, really. What about some guys in the chat box asking about the Nebraska game, or looking to bet on Nebraska for you?
Yeah, I've been kind of people have been talking to me all day about this game, and I get the whole thought process of, well, this line stinks to high heaven. I mean, the whole world's on Nebraska, but Minnesota, I mean, they were 4.5-point favorites at one point in this game. The money or the line just keeps going up, which with the money coming in Nebraska, it should be going the other way. It's a huge concern. I worry about Nebraska on the road. That's kind of my big thing. I mean, they're a pretty decent ATS team, but they don't shoot the ball particularly well. They're sub 40%. Defensively, they're not the same team. And you got a Minnesota team that's, I mean, pretty desperate. I mean, they have not had the season they thought they would. They've had some struggles on the defensive end as well. Um, it's just like the whole thing of the better teams getting points here. Wisconsin was a favorite against Nebraska last week, and Nebraska was able to get the job done. Could be the same situation. We always think back to the whole Browns theory. Just because the Browns are getting points every week doesn't mean that they're not bad. They didn't cover. The whole Sharp thing is a bit of a head scratcher for me. You know how I feel about that. This isn't a Sharp thing to me. This is the line just doesn't look right thing to me. And for that reason, I won't be playing it. I'm not really looking to get involved with teams like this that are high profile. Everybody wants to bet on them. I don't want to get on teams like that. Um, if anything, frankly, Drew, I would probably take Minnesota here, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. We got Dexter. What's up, man? My thoughts are, I was looking at the UCF Cincinnati game. I know Big Man brought up some good points with the Cincinnati defense, but I've been on UCF ever since Taco Fall went out. I listened to some of your advice, Big Man, so I'm going to keep riding the UCF over train. Just a small play on the 122.5 over. Any last opinions on that, Big Man?
Yeah, I think you're gonna be playing with fire there. But again, I mean, the trends have worked. And look, Cincinnati could very capably put up 70 points in this game. I mean, Wichita shredded UCF a couple weeks ago. The concern that I have with this game is the tempo is just not there. I mean, you're really just you're kind of you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You can try to get it in there, but you're really going to be fighting yourself. When you're betting overs with teams that are this slow tempo wise, I mean, you're going to pull your hair out. I mean, Central Florida's 330th in tempo out of 351 teams. Cincinnati's not too far behind. I think they're in the high 200s. So you're gonna play with fire, but the trends have worked. I think you have that working for you, and I think it makes sense to bet. I just don't know that I can do it with how good Cincinnati is defensively. Martricia's asking about Princeton. I'm not a big fan of the Ivy League, but I've been impressed with Penn. I think they're a bit of the sleeper team in the Ivy League. They have the benefit of hosting that conference tournament every year. Princeton's really been shooting the ball well, though. Both these teams good defensively lately. The reason I don't like to bet Princeton and why I kind of will lean your way, Martricia, is Princeton's just rolling right now offensively. And this Penn team is cost themselves games because they can't make free throws. 64.5% as a team. Not good enough. I don't have much opinion, though. I would probably lean with Princeton there.
All right, well, good stuff, Big Man. I mean, thanks, guys, in the chat box. Thanks for watching. Wow, a lot of watchers right now. Please give us the thumbs up, the like button. Big Man, anything you want to throw out there before we close this down?
I can keep going if you want. By the way, you're incorrect, Greg. They're not 311th in tempo. 311th in tempo is Sacramento State. Cincinnati's near the 270s, I believe. I'll just real quick, one or two games even here on the card. Um, I think Alabama, they're really in a must-win game tonight. They need to get some consistency on the road, and they just haven't had it, Drew. They're 5-6 straight up. They have a great home record, but you have to start to be able to win in February and March on the road, and they haven't done it yet. Mississippi State's a solid team, but they're very beatable here. If I'm getting 3 points, I might look the road dog way here. I just think we're going to see a game out of Alabama tonight that warrants them winning this game. I might even look towards a money line here at plus 140. I think it's worth a little shilling. Also, Michigan State, Iowa. I'm going to probably look to keep fading Michigan State. I mean, I've talked with I had a guy that I was talking to last night. I don't know if he's listening. His name's Rob Job. He came up with some real good stuff on Michigan State on they just don't, in conference they've been a dreadful mess against the spread. They haven't covered lately, and I'll keep fading the whole school thing right now. That's a lot to weigh on kids' minds, and this Iowa team can score to basketball, Drew. They're good from three. They're quick. They can hang in games because they can score and they can make their foul shots and they can hit a three here and there. They don't turn the ball over a whole hell of a lot and they don't foul either. If Iowa can just play a little defense tonight, transition wise, I think they can hang in this game. And I think with Michigan State, with the way they played in conference against the number, I can't really not get in front of it.
And we got Michael in here saying, "Keep going, please." Thanks for that, Michael. Like those comments. Big man, what about I guess on the night slate, the late night slate, the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tips: San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, New Mexico, Colorado State, Air Force. Anything on those kind of West Coast games?
Yeah, Colorado State. I mean, they're going to be dealing with the aftermath of Larry Eustachy, who has been given a leave of absence. Basically, they got a backup coach who, I'd have to wonder if how he's involved with all this. I mean, was he involved in any of the things? I just think you have a team right now in Colorado State that's pretty hard to rely on. I mean, they're not good to begin with. Prentice Nixon's been in and out of the lineup all season. Their best player. They're just not a very good basketball team, Colorado State. And look, Air Force isn't great either, but I don't really have any reason to think I'd want to back Colorado State right now. New Mexico, you talk about a team that's starting to play some real good basketball. The Lobos, they've been on fire. They were actually going to be a team that I considered mentioning in my teams to bet on. They've covered 8 of 11 in conference. They're very good at home overall this year. And you have another team in Boise here who is a little bit different on the road. Home teams are everything in basketball, particularly at college. The Pit is a tough place to go play. I think this is a close game. And I got to tell you, I think New Mexico gets a big win here, a game that they really need. I like Boise a lot, but this New Mexico team's playing good basketball. San Diego State, they're in revenge here against Fresno. Fresno went into Vallejas a couple weeks ago and beat them. But now you got to go to safe Mart Arena and beat Fresno State. Two good teams, two good offensive teams, two teams that have really kind of turned it up on the defensive end. San Diego State being kind of the team that's really turned it up. I think SDSU gets a little revenge here. It's tough to beat a team twice, especially San Diego State. Getting a couple points here. I think this game will be a great game. Come down to the wire. Watch your injury reports, though. San Diego State's had some injuries lately. I got to tell you, though, man, I have not had a lot of bets in the Mountain West Conference this year. Really just haven't been involved in it. But it's a great race out there. A lot of good teams.
BMOC, we got Miles Espy asking, Auburn student here. I love our team. You also said you want to be on Auburn for most games, but you didn't list them as a top 10 contender for the title. Why is that?
Because they're too unproven for me. They have no experience at that level. As you said, Drew, when did you say the last time they made the tournament?
It was the year before I got to Auburn, which I believe was either the 02 or 03 season. They lost to Carmelo Anthony in the Sweet 16.
And with Auburn University, I have the same problem I have with them with Tennessee. Both these teams are fairly unproven to me. Have they had some good wins? Sure. But I need to see more from them. I need to see Auburn, go and beat a tough team on the road, not lose to Alabama without Colin Sexton. there's just one or two things that are keeping me off with them. Look, the SEC's not been a good conference this year, and I think we still have a lot of unprovenness here. Look, I just said I think they could be a number one seed. I just don't know if they have the ability to go, win 6 or 7 games late in March. I've seen Kentucky do things like that. I've seen, those teams do those sort of things. So for me, if I had to pick between Michigan State, Tennessee, and Auburn, and you said to me who's most likely to win the tournament, I would say Michigan State strictly because they've been there before. Tom Izzo's been there before. Those guys have been there. They're all similar teams, though, from a perspective of resumes.
Okay, good answer. We'll let that. I guess you answered his question. Anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down, big man?
Nope. As always, great hosting, Drew. Always fun to do the bet buffet here. We'll keep it going. We got the round table tomorrow, so we'll hear more probably. What are we all? We're all college basketball tomorrow, aren't we?
I mean, anything else we should talk about?
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up with a real good show, Drew. It's your time to shine here, buddy.
All right, I'll have to come up with planning something. Yeah, I'll have that over to you tonight. But yeah, guys, tomorrow 10 o'clock Eastern, we got Donnie Rightside and Ian Cameron joining me and the big man for the roundtable, 10 a.m. Eastern. Juanma, anything from your side?
Not that much.
All right.
Hey Drew, how was the weekend? You have a good time down at Hako Beach?
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. Juanma was there. I roomed with Donnie Rightside.
Oh man, it was a blast.
Wow.
Yeah, really nice.
I bet it was. Now, Drew, we gonna meet up in Vegas for the tournament? You know, come out and hang out with me?
You going?
I might be, yeah. We'll see. I guess we got to see what everybody's doing, but I would love to, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd love to too. Yeah, shit, I'll go. If you're going, I might go.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So yeah, we'll try to set that up. As always, appreciate you guys hosting, and we'll be back next week at the Bet Buffet.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in.